Las Vegas' housing market obviously has a very long track record of basically hitting the gas and hitting the brakes.
Yeah.
And it speeds up, slows down, speeds up, slows down. There's very little in between.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, and it's just prone to this volatility that other cities don't typically see.
This is Las Vegas Real Estate Now with local real estate expert Harvey Blankfeld.
2022 was an interesting year.
Yeah.
Right?
To say the least.
To say the least. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we almost always say that, but 2022 really carries a lot of interesting things that happened. Started off like wildfire, just like 2021.
Yeah, I mean, all indications at the beginning of last year, at the beginning of 2022, were that the housing market in particular was still really just on fire. I mean, we were still seeing rapid sales, fast price growth, extremely low inventory, like a couple weeks worth of inventory.
Indeed.
Probably.
Yep.
It was a very tight, extremely competitive, very fast moving market. And then it wasn't. By about late spring, early summer, we started to see signs that the housing market was starting to hit the brakes a little bit.
Yep.
It wasn't like a drastic screeching halt at right away.
Right.
But in time, it kind of became that. And all this came as the Federal Reserve obviously was raising interest rates to fight, what was, I think, record high inflation, or the highest inflation in decades. Yeah. And then what happened in the housing market is mortgage rates went up very fast. I think they've more than doubled over the past year. I think it's the fastest that rates have ever climbed.
Ever.
In
history of real estate.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yep.
And it just made buying a house all that much more expensive. And you tack that on, not only are borrowing costs higher, but home prices were still way higher than they were a year earlier. And it just made it increasingly unaffordable for people to buy a house. And then you started to see the market really slam the brakes. I was speaking with one of the top economists at Redfin brokerage firm. Mm-hmm. He was telling me that, as he described it, and I think he's spot on, 2022 was one of the biggest U-turns the housing market had really ever seen. I mean, it just totally did a 180.
Yeah.
And Vegas was not alone by any stretch of the imagination with seeing rapid acceleration and then a rapid slowdown. But I think in some ways, Las Vegas's run up and slowdown was still more extreme than others.
Yeah.
At least at certain points.
Indeed.
And so right now what we're seeing is the housing market has really, really slowed down quite a bit, even more than you typically see. Like right now, obviously this time of year,
There's a seasonality to it,
definitely.
right?
There is, but but when you look at what the market was doing exactly a year ago, it has just fallen off.
You've been listening to Las Vegas Real Estate Now. If you ever have a question about real estate or any of the other topics we cover, just call me off air or text me at 702-203-1165. You can also check us out on the web at lvrealestateradio.com or on our handle on social media at LV Real Estate Radio.